Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app, O'Connor and Company.
5:07 on this Friday morning. Thanks for joining us. It's Friday and we're in love with you. Our great community built here around this morning program. 4 hours ahead of us, and they're going to be loaded. 6:35, Gordon Chang will join us, talk about this pending TikTok deal. 7:05, Charlie Spearing, Daily Mail on Kamala's book tour. See, Charlie wrote a book about Kamala years ago. 7:35, the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, talk about that event he did with Turning Point, and also about some new polls showing Winsome Sears closing that gap. It's a sprint to the finish line. 8:05, Pastor Lucas Miles, he was the senior director, is the senior director for Turning Point Faith. Talk about his new book and grieving Charlie Kirk. And then, oh my gosh, I can't wait. I'm beside myself. Little Greta Von Trapp, the littlest little 5-year-old Greta from Sound of Music with Julie Andrews and Christopher Plummer. The actress Kim Karath will be joining us to talk about the latest revival of Sound of Music at the Kennedy Center. I've seen Sound of Music about 100 times. Are you a big Patrice Onwuka is here this morning, by the way. Good morning, Patrice.
Happy Friday, Larry, and everybody.
It is a happy. I'm going to be listening to. I'm going to be talking to little Gretel from Sound of Music.
So will you hate me if I say I don't like the Sound of Music? But I will pretend when she's.
I could never hate you.
When I saw it, it was in black and white, and I hated black and white.
It's not in black and white. It's in
up.
color. You're thinking of another movie, or you had a black and white television set.
I had a black and white television set.
It's in living Technicolor with sweeping vistas of Austria.
The storyline never grabbed my attention. All the singing. I'm not into musicals, Larry. I know you know. Well, I've been hiding this from you.
We're gonna have to rethink
I'm
this
sorry.
relationship. I don't
but
hate
it's
you,
okay. I will get into it for.
What's not
segment.
to like about the storyline? There's love. There's nuns. There's Nazis. There's kids. Did I mention the nuns? It's a great musical. Just give it another chance.
Chitty Chitty Bang Bang was much better. And it had a lot of the same themes.
Oh, my Lord. There were no nuns and shit. There were no Nazis. There were child snatchers, but there were no Nazis. All right. We'll have to work on you. I think you need some re-education.
I can't be perfect, Larry, but I'm sure there are a few people out there like me.
This isn't even about musicals. It's about the Sound of Music, which is in a class all of its own. All right. Well,
okay.
We'll discuss later. We have other very important news to cover, and that is something that
tell me about it.
Many of us have been waiting for about 10 years now. Well, 9 years, I guess. James Comey, the former FBI director, was indicted yesterday by a federal grand jury in Alexandria, Virginia. He is expected to turn himself in today for his arraignment this morning at 10 o'clock before District Judge Michael Nachmanoff, who is a Biden appointee, so hold your breath on that one. He's been indicted for false statements and obstruction of congressional proceeding. We had the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan, on yesterday, and he couldn't say it, but he said it yesterday, that this is what it was about. I asked him, do you know what this indictment is? And he goes, well, Pam Bondi's in charge of that. Congress steps away once the Justice Department jumps in. But, they could indict him on making false statements and obstructing congressional oversight. That's exactly what they indicted him for. Thank you, Chairman Jordan, for confirming that information. A lot of speculation specifically about what could be in this indictment because, frankly, I think there's a whole lot you can go after him on. He signed those fake FISA warrants against Carter Page that everybody knew was fake. He made statements. My favorite part was when someone said, he got indicted for making false statements to Congress. And my response was, which false statements to Congress?
Which ones? Exactly. Yeah.
He said under oath that that the Steele dossier was never used as part of the intelligence community's assessment on Russian collusion and Russian participation with the 2016 campaign, and we know that that's false now, based on the releases by Tulsi Gabbard's office, right? So, I mean, there are a lot of false statements, but apparently the false statements have to do with his admission after the fact that he did authorize leaks to the New York Times to harm Donald Trump. And in 2017, Chuck Grassley, the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the Senate, had James Comey, after he had been fired by Donald Trump, sitting right in front of him under oath, and this is how that went. Oh, pause for a moment here while I just ensure that everything is flowing audio-wise. Here we go.
Comey, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
Never.
Question 2 on relatively related. Have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation?
No.
Has any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, so those three answers right there appear not to be true. The first one, whether he was an anonymous source to the mainstream media or to the media about Donald Trump with classified information, that's yet to be seen. But when Andrew McCabe, the deputy director of the FBI, was dismissed at the end of the Trump administration, he was dismissed for leaking information to the New York, or I believe it was to the New York Times or to the Washington Post. His defense was that James Comey authorized him to do it. Andrew McCabe, the deputy director, said, hey, I leaked this information to the media, but it was because Comey told me to do it. Comey now says that he never authorized anybody at the FBI to leak information.
So who's lying?
Somebody's lying. Somebody's
Exactly.
lying. It's either James Comey and Andrew McCabe. But furthermore, there was a document signed by Peter Strzok specifically stating that there had been leaks from the FBI. You heard that last question. Were you aware of any? Here.
Has any classified information relating to President Trump or his associates been declassified and shared with the media?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to my knowledge, but there's a memo specifically from Peter Strzok, who was in charge of the counterterrorism division of the FBI at the time, and he was in charge of the Crossfire Hurricane investigation into Donald Trump. You remember Peter Strzok? He's the one who was texting with his girlfriend that he was cheating on about how much they hated Trump, and yet he was the person in charge of the investigation. He sent a memo directly to James Comey talking about information that had been leaked to the media. So when it's not to my knowledge, that's kind of I know that that's a weaselly way to say yes or no, but still leave a door open. But it was to his knowledge because we have the smoking gun memo directly sent to him about that. There's more. We'll give it to you in a moment. A lot of us have been waiting for this. By the way, before anybody starts sending me emails or tweeting or texting at me or whatever about Larry, why are you so... I have no delusions here that James Comey will be convicted and sent behind bars. Trust me, that is a long way off, and at this point, in no way do I think that will happen. But is he going to have to lawyer up? Is he going to have to spend a lot of money defending himself? Is his integrity going to be diminished and damaged because of this? Yes. Just like what happened to a lot of my friends over the course of the last 10 years because of the actions of James Comey. That is something to take a deep breath about and feel some level of satisfaction and justice about, even if it's just a little. 5:15.
WMAL, making sense of the news. Live from the Home Paramount Pest Control Studios. Home Paramount, the leader in pest control since 1939.
Your next $1,000 could be one text away. It's $5K a day on WMAL.
So Patrice Onwuka, as I pause here for a moment discussing these Comey indictments, which I could talk for hours about this, since it's a story that I've been covering since the beginning of the Russiagate scandal. I do want to take your temperature on this. Do you, like many other people in the media, fear that now that this has happened, this is a new Rubicon that's been crossed, and if Democrats are in charge, they might use the Justice Department and indict their political opponents? Because I don't know, I feel like they've already done that.
They have already done that, but I think this is different. This is not, you're going to hear the left talk about retribution. You're going to hear the left talk about, the right getting back at President Trump using the justice system to get back at his political rivals. This is very different. And I will start with the words of Attorney General Pam Bondi on X yesterday. She said, quote, "No one is above the law." Well, wait a minute. We heard that for many years coming from the other side every time there was an indictment against President Trump, every time there were charges against President Trump. She continued, "Today's indictment reflects this Justice Department's commitment to holding those who abuse positions of power accountable for misleading the American people. We will follow the facts in the case." I love it. 100% agree with it. FBI Director Kash Patel all said on X, today, your FBI took another step in its promise of full accountability. For too long, previous corrupt leadership and their enablers weaponized federal law enforcement, damaging once proud institutions and severely eroding the public trust. And I think that gets to the heart of what my perspective on this, and I think a lot of people's perspective is, which is that these institutions were severely damaged by James Comey, by his henchmen, who were very upset that President Trump would have won the 2016 election, and decided to weaponize the justice system against the president to undermine any work that he could get done, so that while the president is trying to deliver on promises to the American people around the economy, around national security, that he would also be fighting against an entire system that's creating false charges, a false narrative to completely undermine his view, the American people's trust in him as a legitimately elected president of the United States. So this is about accountability. And there are too many people who don't like the A word. They don't like to be held accountable. They just want to do their dirty work and walk away and think that they'll never have to see any repercussions for the damage that they have done.
Yeah, and James Comey has forget about accountability. He thinks that he's the last pure, innocent, truthful.
Is he the last great white hope in his mind?
Yeah. What's interesting, I did dip in and watch a lot of the cable news coverage of this last night, and of course everyone was screaming about, there's a dangerous development and the president is convicting his political enemy. James Comey never ran for office. He's not an elected official. He's not the political enemy of Donald Trump. He was the most powerful law enforcement officer in the country, and he abused that power, it appears, based on the evidence in this indictment. It was Joe Biden and his Justice Department and the Attorney General of New York and the District Attorney of New York and the District Attorney of Fulton County, who went after a political enemy, a man who was running for president, an actually elected official, Donald Trump, a candidate. They were the ones who used the law against him to try to keep him off the ballot. One other thing about the coverage that we saw last night, with all of the histrionics about how horrible this might be because they're going to now Democrats might use this the DOJ as a political weapon, which is just laughable on its face. It's like they can't even hear themselves. Nobody actually was talking last night about the facts in the case. They weren't talking about whether, you would think that would be a bottom line. Did James Comey lie under oath or not? Did James Comey know about unauthorized leaks to the media or not? They didn't even touch the facts of the case.
Well, they're not going to touch the facts because they know that the facts weigh heavily against James Comey.
That's right.
The left is there. The media, much of them are always just about narratives, not about specificity and specifics of a case. They just want something to build a narrative that they can continue to run with.
That's right. That is 1,000%. Please, I beg you, everyone, as you see coverage of this issue, watch what they talk about and, more importantly, what they don't talk about. We've discussed it now for almost 20 minutes on this program, and I played you James Comey's testimony. I read you what was in the indictment. I explained the facts that are contrary to his sworn testimony that suggests he was perjuring himself. We talked about the facts of the case. On the face of it, when you look at the facts of the case, when you look at what he was indicted for and what the evidence suggests, there is no doubt to say that the evidence supports the charges that Comey leaked to the press and then lied in his testimony before Congress. Now, if you don't think you should be charged for those crimes for other reasons, go ahead and make that case. But at the same time, if you were tweeting out on social media or proclaiming on cable news that no one is above the law when it pertained to Donald Trump, and now you're trying to say that James Comey shouldn't be indicted, you might want to sit this one out. Just some advice. It's 5:23.
Coming up, we've got Comey's response. Stay with us. It's O'Connor and Company at 5:30.
WMAL-FM, Woodbridge, Washington, a Cumulus media station. Making sense of the news. News Talk 105.9. WMAL. News now. Now, on 105.9 FM and streaming worldwide on the WMAL app. O'Connor and Company.
5:37 on O'Connor and Company this Friday. Coming up at 6:35, Gordon Chang on the TikTok deal. 7:05, Charlie Spearing on Kamala's disaster of a book tour. 7:35, the governor of Virginia, Glenn Youngkin, on that Turning Point event he did, as well as an update on the gubernatorial race in Virginia. 8:05, we'll speak with Pastor Lucas Miles, Senior Director of Turning Point Faith. And then at 8:35, a real treat. Kim Careth, one of the original Von Trapp children from the legendary film Sound of Music, which I'm going to make Patrice Onwuka sit in front of as I give her a master class on why
Good
it's
luck
one
with
of
that,
the
Larry.
greatest films ever made. Yeah, thank you. Sound of Music at the Kennedy Center this week, by the way. Good morning, Patrice.
Happy Friday.
At the end of our program, of course, we will all be singing So Long Farewell in the style of the Von Trapp children, leaving the ball.
We will not be dancing, though, right? In wooden shoes.
No dancing here. Just the singing. I cannot believe that you're lukewarm on Sound of Music.
I'm not even lukewarm. I'm cold on Sound of Music, but maybe I will be lukewarm by the end of the show.
So James Comey, true to form,
yes.
when he discovered he had been indicted, he did what any sane, rational adult in his 60s does when he's the dignified former director of the FBI. He took to Instagram and put out a video like a 14-year-old girl upset that Taylor
with his
Swift
Ring
broke
camera
up again.
and his he just forgot the lip gloss.
Oh, he made sure the vanity lighting was on. He made sure he was, and you would think that he walks around with a suit and tie all day, but I guarantee you he was wearing boxer shorts from the waist down. There's an image for all of you.
No, thank you.
He's so cringe. Here, take a listen to this. This is cut one.
My family and I have known for years that there are costs to standing up to Donald Trump, but we couldn't imagine ourselves living any other way. We will not live on our knees, and you shouldn't either. Somebody that I love dearly recently said that fear is the tool of a tyrant, and she's right. But I'm not afraid, and I hope you're not either. I hope instead you are engaged. You are paying attention, and you will vote like your beloved country depends upon it, which it does. My heart is broken for the Department of Justice, but I have great confidence in the federal judicial system, and I'm innocent. So let's have a trial and keep the faith.
What a sanctimonious drama queen. You notice, again, he did not address the charges at all.
No.
In any way whatsoever. He didn't
say
they're falsely
his
accusing me of
say
this.
Don't talk about it.
No, they're falsely accusing me of this, and it's not true. Here's what I said, and that's not a lie. And he didn't address any of those things. He's very squirrely. And Jesse Waters had a nice little reaction to it last night after he played it.
All right, well, he's a drama queen. We knew he was going to come out with something like that. This guy, if he goes down, is going to go down as the biggest drama queen martyr we've seen in the history of American jurisprudence.
That's right. Like any true non-political law enforcement, just the facts kind of FBI director. He used this opportunity to try to get votes for Democrats.
Exactly, yeah.
He immediately turned political.
Purely political, purely about himself and his family, and he's the one standing on this perch above everybody else, calling out the dictators. I mean, it's drama queen. It's also just narcissism, isn't it?
Yes and no. It's also, listen, he is very smart and very clever and very slippery. And by sending that message, you understand something for a second. Democrats don't really like James Comey either. They still blame him for Hillary Clinton's loss.
That's true. Yes.
They're not willing to, go to the mat for this guy necessarily, but understand in that message, what signal did he send to Democrats out there who still have power and influence? I'm still your guy, and I'm going to keep speaking out and trying to harm Donald Trump and Republicans who are with him. Why would he tell everyone, go out and vote? There's not an election until 2028.
Not a national election, no.
Right?
Yeah.
No, but see, I mean, that was a free, very widely viewed video message to help Abigail Spanberger in Virginia and Mickey Sherrill in New Jersey. The next election is in Virginia and New Jersey. He is signaling to Democrats, I'm still your guy, and I'm still going to go to the mat to harm your political enemies, so you do what you can to help me. I don't know if they can help him, though. Here's James Comey apparently lying again. Ted Cruz, senator in 2020, challenged him directly on what appeared to be false statements. Listen.
On May 3rd, 2017, in this committee, Chairman Grassley asked you point blank, quote, have you ever been an anonymous source in news reports about matters relating to the Trump investigation or the Clinton investigation? You responded under oath, quote, never. He then asked you, quote, have you ever authorized someone else at the FBI to be an anonymous source in news reports about the Trump investigation or the Clinton administration? You responded again under oath, no. Now, as you know, Mr. McCabe, who works for you, has publicly and repeatedly stated that he leaked information to the Wall Street Journal and that you were directly aware of it and that you directly authorized it. Now, what Mr. McCabe is saying and what you testified to this committee cannot both be true. One or the other is false. Who's telling the truth?
I can only speak to my testimony. I stand by what the testimony you summarized that I gave in May of 2017.
So your testimony is you've never authorized anyone to leak. And Mr. McCabe, if he says contrary, is not telling the truth. Is that correct?
Again, I'm not going to characterize Andy's testimony, but mine is the same today.
All right, I'm going to make...
That's all right. That's going to be the crux of one part of this case. There's more to it, though, as well, and we'll discuss over the course of the next several days. I might as well let you know right now, Joe DeGeneva will be our guest on Monday, and Lord knows we will talk about this. That's going to be good. Yeah. It's 5:43.
Later this morning on the Chris Plant Show, a giant no-climb riot fence built around the White House because Netanyahu's coming and the Democrats are dangerous. 9 a.m. on WMAL.
We've got more on the Comey indictments as the morning develops. We've got 3 hours ahead of us, so stick with us on that. Meanwhile, John Solomon over at justthenews.com had another blockbuster yesterday as all of this was developing. Hidden for 4 years, an after-action report on FBI's involvement in January 6th riot found by Director Kash Patel shows dozens of agents feared that the FBI had become woke and liberally biased. This was the after-action report by FBI agents who were involved in the melee at the Capitol on January 6th. How many of them? Over 250 plainclothes agents. This is scores and scores more, Patrice, than has ever been suspected.
We thought it was a dozen or a couple dozen at the most.
That's what, at one point, that's what was being speculated, that it was a couple of dozen that had been involved there. The FBI apparently deployed 274 plainclothes agents. So they were not identifiable as FBI agents. They were dressed. They say plainclothes. I want to know what those plainclothes look like. Were they dressed like MAGA? Were they dressed as though they were supporters of the president?
That's a good question. Yeah.
And given that, we need to go back through all of the surveillance video, all of the security footage, all of the individual citizens' footage on their own smartphones. identify which people in the crowd were, in fact, plainclothes FBI agents. 274 of them were there. And I want to see exactly what they did to participate, if not lead the actions of the mob on January 6th.
Well, and take it a step further, Larry. What happened if they were arrested? Were there any charges brought against them? Were they prosecuted? Probably not, right?
No,
because
of course
if they
not.
were acting, if they were under, so I mean, it's really interesting. This is fascinating.
No, I don't think there's any suggestion that they were there because they were participating and in favor of any of the actions of January 6th. The suspicion and, frankly, the fear is that they actually inspired the events of January 6th. Why would you have...
Well, of course, inspired it. And then while regular people who got caught up ended up getting prosecuted, they walked away because they did their job.
Regular people got prosecuted because they were following the lead of an FBI agent. Now, we don't know that, but why has it taken over 4 years for this revelation? Yeah. How many times was Director Christopher Wray asked point blank, did you have agents in the crowd that day? How many of them, and what did they do? And he refused to answer that question. And now we have this document.
There were 270 of them. We now know why.
274 of them, and scores of them, many from the Bureau's premier Washington field office, sent anonymous complaints to the after-action team. So what happens is after something happens, they have a report. They say, okay, what went wrong? What went right? What could we have done better? It's typical in law enforcement and certainly in the FBI. Agents that were involved that day, that were deployed, that were said, we want you to be in that crowd. They sent their complaints to the after-action team, specifically saying that they were sent into an unsafe scenario without proper safety equipment or the ability to identify themselves as armed officers to other police agencies. They also said that they feared that the FBI used them as political pawns in the greater January 6th scenario, and that they complained that the FBI had become too political and specifically too woke. That document was buried and just uncovered by our FBI director, Kash Patel.
This is important. I mean, when you consider, I'm reading through some of what's included here. One agent suggested that the problem extended beyond the Bureau to D.C. He said currently the U.S. Attorney's Office is dictating what it is that gets investigated. And this is a dangerous precedent because we barely get them to prosecute investigations that clearly meet thresholds needed for federal prosecutions. However, the agent wrote, they're willing to conduct a search warrant on someone's life for a misdemeanor. It's ridiculous. It's unreasonable for the FBI to conduct investigations involving misdemeanor violations. And he talks about going after people for not wearing a mask rather than actual crimes that the FBI should be looking into. This is what we've always speculated. This is what we had been speculating for years now, which is that the FBI and law enforcement were focused on the wrong issues. Who wears a mask and who doesn't is not the same as child predators and human trafficking. You know, and I think this report underscores that.
Picking up John Solomon's report in Just the News, one agent said in his response to the after-action report, our response to the Capitol riot reeks of political bias. Frontline agents repeatedly raised issues of liberal bias and wokeness in their after-action assessment. The words politics or bias were mentioned more than a dozen times in responses, and similar sentiments scores of times in the 50-page report. Our response to the Capitol riot reeks of political bias. We've been used as pawns in a political war, and FBI leadership fell into the trap and has allowed it to happen. We're supposed to call balls and strikes, regardless of political pressure. Now we can't even be trusted to be on the field, another agent commented. Watch this story. It got buried in the Comey indictment last night, but it's just as big, if not bigger. The English language is very challenging for me sometimes. It's especially at 5:53.